It's one thing to have a dream, and another thing to develop the skills, and another thing to actually like risk yourself. Why not believe in the goodness that exists beyond our tangible reality at the moment, beyond what we hear in the news, beyond the stories that we've told ourselves, beyond the stories that other people have told us? Why not believe in that goodness of life? Welcome to Teesside Thursdays with Win. This is your bi-weekly pocket of pain-stained thoughts, creative chaos, and a gentle reminder that yes, you are allowed to be a masterpiece and a work in progress at the same time. I'm Win, your resident rambler, a brush wielder, and a dream builder. Every other week, we will be diving into whatever is on the canvas of my mind. Maybe it's the strange balance between ambition and burnout, or maybe it's about a sketch. I don't want it to be scripted, no polishing, just pure presence. Let's talk art, growth, and all the in-betweens that we don't normally hear about. So grab your own cup of tea and let's wander in this creative wilderness together. Your Thursdays just got a little bit weirder, but also a little bit more wonderful. The tea is still really hot because I've just sipped the tea bag into the cup with some hot water, so I'm gonna leave it standing. Hopefully throughout this conversation that we have together, it will actually cool down enough so that I can actually drink something. Today I am drinking spicy chai by Twinings, which is a company that we have in the UK that does a lot of like different types of teas. And I'm drinking it this week because I just happen to have it in my cupboard and I have officially run out of milk. We need to go food shopping today and I really don't like it when we run out of milk because I use milk for everything in my life, whether it's tea, smoothies, in my tofu scramble. So when vegan milk runs out, it's definitely a problem. So I was rummaging around the cupboards trying to find like something that I can drink as like black tea that would be flavorsome. And I found this spicy chai tea. This is what I'll be hopefully drinking with you. I hope you will accompany me with your own choice of hot drink, and let's get into today's topic. So today's topic is motivated by an activity that I was doing this morning, which was crunching numbers and budgeting. So I have been forming spreadsheets to forecast out the expenses for the remainder of this year and into next year. And it's a very interesting experience, especially now that I don't have a regular monthly income, right? So one thing that prompts me is, of course, trying to eventually sell my paintings so that I can bring income for myself and for my family, which is an ongoing process. But just looking at the numbers alone made me actually have this sense of, wow, like things are really real. And I know that all of us will have instances in our lives where, you know, things just feel very real because of the external things that are reflected to us. And I think when it comes to things like money, knowing what's in your bank account, knowing what you have in your credit, knowing what you have to spend, what your outgoings are, like when you start going down into like very real, very detailed kind of aspects like that, that's when things start becoming more like real, right? And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. In fact, it's a good thing. But finances is actually not what I want to talk to you about this week, but it's the start of the story, because when looking at the numbers, like it brought about this feeling in me, which is actually linked to, dare I say, spirituality. And that's because I got this sense of, oh my God, like I really don't know what's gonna happen to me like in the next year. Whether the paintings that I put out for sale will sell. I don't know how my art studio business is going to come together. I don't know what paintings I'm going to make. Like, it's one thing to have a dream and another thing to develop the skills and another thing to actually like risk yourself, right? Put yourself out there, put your work out there. And that is something that all of us, when we are in the creative industry or entrepreneurship journey, cannot control, but we can do our best. A feeling that came up within me is actually this feeling of faith and trust. And I'm actually a bit emotional when I even talk about it, because I grew up as a Buddhist, and I grew up from a young age with my grandma sitting me down and teaching me Buddhist prayers since I was very, very young. And I was brought up from a religious family, all who are Buddhists. And I'm telling you this so that you have a bit of context, because like money, I think spirituality is a topic that, depending on where we all come from, is a topic of sensitivity. I do think spirituality and it stems from religion, and that's only because of my upbringing and my religion. That's why I feel this way. But you might have a different background to me. What saddens me is when I speak to like people who have lost faith in spirituality and religion. For me, like, I don't think religion and spirituality is a bad thing. And it also saddens me when religion and spirituality, more spirituality actually, is coined as this like woo-woo hippie thing. Like, if you, God forbid, like have this sense of trust in some sort of the unseen world, that you are a hippie and you are, I don't know, putting on flowers in your hair and dancing in the fields and all of that stuff. I'm not saying anything is good or bad. I'm just saying that this perception is actually something that also saddens me. Another thing that also saddens me is when there are people who are atheists, but they only believe that what is real in life is only the things we can touch, only the things that we can talk about, like the news or politics or sports or music. And that is like their life only. And when you approach topics like spirituality or religion, then it becomes a very touchy subject where they just think, you know, you are a bit either stupid or a bit weird for even mentioning that and having space for that. It's not even the culture, but more the fact that I was brought up in a family where religion, Buddhism, was a big part of my life. If you hear any meows, my cat is here again to spend time with us. But so when I was crunching the numbers and thinking about my future, like, I realized that I was doing everything in my power in this moment in time, doing the best I can. And I think about not only my situation, but situations where people have really reached like rock bottom, and there are not necessarily any material things or people that can help them out of a very horrible situation in life. Then what is it that we can hold on to as people, as humans? What is it that has helped me, especially in times where I do feel like I have reached rock bottom? And for me, like, that has always been like having faith and trust in a higher power. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about my family's background and my upbringing, only so that you know where I'm coming from in this context. And then I think I want to touch a little bit on how that has impacted my perspective on things, and how even if we don't believe in a religion or are spiritual of sorts, how we can carry through some elements of it for times when we do reach rock bottom, and hopefully this will be interesting to you. I don't know much about my great-grandmother and great-grandfather, but I definitely know that, especially from my mom's side, my grandmother and my grandfather, they were really religious. Like, they would go in the summer holidays to take their kids out to like monasteries, like help build monasteries back in my home country of Myanmar, meet like monks and talk and meditate and practice. So they did all of that, even to the point where when my grandma and granddad, like when they reached the age of mid-40s, they decided to intentionally separate and go their separate ways. So my grandma stayed in the main city of Yangon, and their children obviously by that point were grown. So they were doing their own thing, and they decided to separate. And my granddad decided to actually move into a mountainous region where he lived as an ascetic. So he lived in a really tiny, it's a physical like house, but it was enough for a very, very tiny, sort of like this kind of space of a prayer room, and also this kind of space of a bedroom. Surrounding him were mountains and woodlands, and I remember going back from England to Myanmar like every summer holiday, and we would be playing around whilst the adults would talk, and it was just a very peaceful setting. And he remained there until the very end of his life in the mountainous area, living as an ascetic, practicing the religion. And my grandma also continued with going to meditation retreats and praying and practicing in her own way, in her own household. And of course, like this carried through to my mom, and also even with the influence of my dad, who was also, you know, religious as well. Like, they really instilled to us this sense and belief that there was more to life than what we can see in reality. There was more to life than what we can see and touch and hear with our own eyes and ears and all of that stuff. And we've always believed that, you know, there are higher beings and higher powers who are looking out for us as a family, but also for other people as well. One of the things that I get told a lot when I tell them, when we start talking about religion or spirituality of some sort, and they approach me and they tell me, you know, oh, you're a Buddhist. If I were to choose a religion, it would be Buddhism. And they talk about how like it's a way of life, but actually from my upbringing, it's not a way of life, it's actually a practice, because it is a religion. I get really triggered when I see like Buddhist statues that are in like so-called retreats, right, where Buddha statues are either on the floor or on like very low places, in the toilets. Like, that's very disrespectful, because people see it as a way of life. They, you know, actually put the Buddha statues anywhere they want, whereas in my culture and in the religion, like, it's meant to be, you know, like in high places and above your head sort of thing. Because Buddhism is a practice within the religion, like, we've always prayed. So I have prayers that I say every single day. I use prayer beads. I meditate as well, and there are certain practices that I've been taught that revolve around using prayer beads and prayers that I say verbally from my mom and my grandma, that I do on a weekly and daily basis. So for me, like, it's always been not only that, you know, I do things for my body, like going to the gym to work out, but it's always been that I pray to connect to something that's higher than me, that is outside of me. So when I come across like experiences like I have this morning, for example, of just looking at the spreadsheet and kind of thinking about where money is going to come in for me in the future, which is a real, you know, question for me right now, I got this sense of faith, and it links back to what my mom used to remind us before school exams. Before the exams, like, we would not only be studying hard, but alongside it, we were praying. Like, we were praying, saying the prayers, using the prayer beads, lighting candles, and offering fruits and incense. praying and wishing in front of our altar, in front of the Buddha, to be able to pass this exam that we're doing. And my mom always used to tell me, and she tells me up until this day, we can get whatever we want in life if we do these things. Number one, you put in your own effort. So that means every single day, like, you take the actions that you need necessary to achieve your goal. And that's very like physical, right? Like it's very tangible. And then the second one is to pray, to believe that there is a higher power, a higher being, someone, something, somehow, who will help you in achieving that endeavor, whatever it is that you are working on. The third one is luck. And luck is something that we can't control. Luck can be about being at the right place at the right time. And that is something that is almost like a wish in itself. Like you hope for it, you believe in it, but you can't control it. But in Buddhism, we believe in karma and all of that. So if you've done good things in life, good things will happen to you. If you've done bad things in life, bad things will catch up with you. So we always say that, do good things, be good to people, be kind and be generous to people, and good things will happen. So for us, that's almost like a way of hoping that, whatever our endeavors will be, eventually we will be in the right place at the right time. And she's always reminded us that if you just sit and hope without putting any physical effort on your end, it's unlikely to happen. Likewise, if you just work your ass off and think that, you are in control of this, you are the one to make it happen, then for us personally, she's always said, you need to pray, you need to meditate, you need to wish for it, because there are higher beings and higher powers who can help you. So for us, it's always been working with these two factors in tandem. I know where I'm heading, but I don't know what the fruits of my labor will be and become. And that's when, like, things like looking at the spreadsheets or wondering about my future, where I think my practice of my religion has really helped me to actually realize that I'm not the only one in control. Like, I take control of what I can control, but the rest is also up to a higher power to guide me in the right way, to trust that my intuitions that I get along the way are guided by higher power. I don't know how to fully describe this experience to you, but that has really helped me in my ability to think more positively and to be more self-assured of my journey, even if it's completely unpredictable. So I think to myself when I'm having these sorts of conversations is, like, of course, like, we're all born and brought up differently. Not everyone's going to be brought up in the same situation as me. But I think there are ways where we can bring an element of religion and spirituality, like, into our lives. Okay, like, you might not believe or want to follow any religion, and I think that's absolutely fine. But there are, like, very almost like spiritual meditative things that have helped me. For example, walking. When I'm really confused and stressed, I just don't want to walk and move, but I try to just, like, grab my shoes, put on a comfortable outfit and walk literally aimlessly. Walk with that restlessness. And eventually I find that it dissipates. it's usually either towards the end of the walk, or sometimes during that walk, thoughts come to me that brings clarity into my situation, whatever it may be. Walking is so accessible to everyone, almost like a practice where you are lending yourself to something like bigger than you. It's almost like accepting, look, like I am trying my hardest, doing my hardest, and I trust and I give into whatever is meant to happen, it will happen. And I think it's a very cathartic process. The second one that I think everyone can do, this is what I learned from Vipassana meditation, is sitting and just being aware of your breath in and out, or your belly like expanding and contracting, expanding and contracting. If when reaching moments of being really, really low, it's hard sometimes to just sit and breathe, because I've been there. But similar to walking, that has really helped me. Just sitting down, focusing on the in-breath, the out-breath, focusing on sometimes my belly rising and falling, and just sitting for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, like whatever I can afford, has really helped me. And I say that because I think sometimes we get into our like heads a lot, and we get into our egos a lot, where we are like, and I've been there again, like I get into it and I have to like kind of bring myself back out of it. It's like, I am in control of this situation. I am the only one who can get myself out of this situation. I am the only one who can do this. And what happens with this repetitive I is like we almost end up putting so much pressure on ourselves, and we end up contracting. And whereas like believing in a higher power, or believing that there will be at least like energies of the goodness of life that will come into your life, even just that belief alone actually lets us like expand and be like, okay, like I trust that I will find a way. I trust that a way will come to me. I trust that an idea will come to me. I trust that eventually the thing will figure itself out. I trust that everything will work out. Why not believe in thoughts like this? Why not believe in the goodness that exists beyond our tangible reality at the moment, beyond what we hear in the news, beyond the stories that we've told ourselves, beyond the stories that other people have told us? Why not believe in that goodness of life? And for me, like that's what spirituality and religion has taught me. And that's why I'm sharing this background with you, because I guess the moral of the story is not about religion or spirituality. It's just about how those things have helped me to think more positively in life, and also not come so much, especially in times when I am worried and when I do see the tangible realities of things like money. I am able to at least like breathe this sigh of relief, or just continue to keep breathing like normally, and still have this faith that everything will work out. And I want that for everybody. I want that for myself, and I want that for you, and I want that for everybody, because the world needs more of that. Like the world, I think, needs more of that goodness and positivity and energy. And we're human. We're not always going to be positive and energetic like 100%. And I don't think that's the reality that we are meant to be, because we're not robots and we're not fully enlightened beings, because we are human, right? That's at least where I come from in this context of belief and perspective. But at the same time, I think there are like unseen goodness of energies in life that gets transferred into our lives eventually as maybe material things, as maybe in the form of friendship, as maybe in the form of a conversation that brings us some peace and clarity. If there are some circumstances in your life that is reflecting to you that it's not very ideal at the moment, be it your bank account, be it your health, be it your personal life, be it your career, be it about someone that you care about. I hope that there is a part in you that realize that you are not just the only one in control, and that there are goodness in life that is for you, that is waiting for you, and that is going to happen for you. This is so good. It's only when I started to do Teaside Thursdays that I've drank more hot drink than I ever have in the past year. And how it's so nice just to like grab a hot drink and chat like this. So I hope you also enjoy these moments with me. Before you start these sessions, make sure you also make a nice hot drink yourself. Just take like 5 minutes out of your day, make a hot drink that you have in your cupboard. Even if you don't have milk, grab something that you think will be nice and soothing and warming for you, and join me in this chat. Thank you. This is it for today, and I will see you in the next Teaside Thursday.